Kalashnikov CV-1. When you hear or think about Kalashnikov, your mind probably jumps straight to the AK-47, not an electric car. But in 2018, the Russian arms manufacturer decided to put down the rifle and pick up a battery pack. The result? The CV-1, nicknamed the Russian Tesla Killer. The design was pure nostalgia. Flat panels, round headlights, and a pale blue paint job that could have come straight from a Cold War family photo. In other words, the design was based on the old Soviet Easy 2125 Combi, complete with its flat panels, round headlights, and boxy profile. The specs they announced were even more ambitious. An electric motor was allegedly good for 295 horsepower and similar torque, with a 0 to 60 miles per hour time around 6 seconds. A 90 kilowatt-hour battery was said to deliver about 220 miles of range. But in the end, the CV-1 never made it past the prototype stage. It popped into the news, went viral for a week, and then quietly disappeared. Number 9. Peel P50. If you've ever thought parking is impossible, the Peel P50 laughs in your face. Built on the Isle of Man in the early 1960s by Peel Engineering Limited, it holds the Guinness World Record for the smallest production car ever made. And when we say small, we mean it's just 54 inches long, 39 inches wide, and weighs about 130 pounds. It has one door, one headlight, and exactly enough room for a driver, and maybe a grocery bag. No reverse gear either. If you want to back up, you get out, grab the handle on the rear, and physically drag the car. As expected of such a small car, power came from a tiny 49 cubic centimeter scooter engine, producing 4.2 horsepower, which gave it a top speed of about 38 miles per hour. Not exactly a highway cruiser, but fine for zipping around town. And if you think the size is ridiculous, the fuel economy will surprise you more. It offers 100 miles per gallon, and that's why it was even advertised as being almost cheaper than walking. Despite its charm, the P50 was more novelty than practical transport. Only 50 original units were made, and today only 27 units are known to exist. Yet they've become highly collectible, with one even selling for an astonishing $176,000. Number 8. Briggs & Stratton Hybrid. Most people know Briggs & Stratton as the name on the engine of their lawnmower, snowblower, or maybe even their old washing machine. But in the late 1970s, this small engine manufacturer tried something wildly unexpected, and they built a car. Not just any car, but a 6-wheeled, partially electric, fiberglass-bodied prototype called the Briggs & Stratton Hybrid. The timing of Briggs & Stratton Hybrid wasn't random at all. The world was still feeling the sting of the 1970s oil crisis, when fuel prices skyrocketed and drivers queued for miles at gas stations. Automakers were desperately seeking alternatives, and Briggs & Stratton saw a chance to show off its technical chops, and maybe prove that hybrids could be part of the future. Under the hood, or rather under the fiberglass body, sat one of Briggs & Stratton's own off-the-shelf engines, a 0.7-liter twin-cylinder Model 42, producing a modest 18 horsepower. This was paired with an electric motor generating an extra 8 horsepower. Interestingly, the driver had to manually choose whether to run on gas, electric, or both, because there was no computer brain to do it automatically. Then there were the 6 wheels. But this wasn't for off-roading dominance. Instead, the second rear axle was there to help carry the weight of a dozen lead-acid batteries, about 1,000 pounds worth, stored in an integrated trailer section. Splitting the load across 3 axles kept the tires and suspension from breaking. And if you think the design was pretty silly, know that it was the work of Brooks Stevens, the legendary industrial designer behind the Jeep Wagoneer, the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile, and Harley-Davidson's Hydra Glide motorcycle. Number 7. Dyson electric car. Imagine spending $600 million to build an electric car, and then never selling a single one. That's exactly what happened to Dyson. Yes, the company better known for their vacuum cleaners, hair dryers, and bladeless fans. In 2017, Dyson set off on a journey to create a luxury SUV that could rival Tesla, Jaguar, and even high-end German automakers. This news did send shockwaves across the auto industry. The project, known internally as the Dyson N526, was designed to be futuristic, minimalistic, and incredibly efficient. Dyson planned to leverage its expertise in battery technology, especially with solid-state batteries, which promised faster charging, longer range, and less weight compared to the lithium-ion packs used by rivals. In fact, the concept boasted a range of nearly 600 miles on a single charge, an insane figure even by today's standards. On paper, everything looked revolutionary, but here's the bridge to reality. Making vacuum cleaners is one thing. Building a car from scratch is an entirely different ballgame. Costs quickly spiraled out of control, and even with Dyson's engineering power and a talented team of 600 members, producing the N526 at a competitive price proved impossible. By 2019, after spending millions of his own money, James Dyson pulled the plug on the entire project. Number 6. Samsung SM3ZE. If you're American or European, it's probably hard to wrap your head around just how much Samsung is woven into daily life in South Korea. We're talking phones, TVs, fridges, fridges, credit cards, life insurance, construction projects, even ocean liners. You could practically be born in a Samsung hospital, grow up in a Samsung-built apartment, watch a Samsung TV, text on a Samsung phone, and then drive a Samsung car to your Samsung bank account. Yes, cars. In the late 1990s, Samsung teamed up with Renault in a joint venture called Renault Samsung Motors. This meant Renault got a strong foothold in South Korea, and Samsung got to sell cars without spending billions inventing engines and platforms from zero. The first generation of their compact car, named Renault Samsung SM3, was just a rebadged Nissan Sunny Bluebird Sylphy. Later facelifts made it look fresh, but the bones stayed familiar. Then came 2011, the Seoul Motor Show, and something unexpected: an all-electric SM3 badged ZE, zero emissions. The SM3 ZE packed a 22 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery, powering an electric motor with around 94 horsepower. The introductory range was 84 miles, which was increased to 132 miles in the updated version of SME ZE in 2017. This wasn't a crazy concept car. It was basically a Renault Fluence ZE in a Samsung suit with government backing to get more EVs on Korean roads. Interestingly, it was priced at 39 million won, equivalent to $34,000, which may sound too expensive. However, local and central government subsidies helped reduce the price to around $16,000. From 2014 to 2020, total sales reached 85,787 units. That might not sound like a lot compared to global EV giants, but in Korea's still young electric car market, it was a big deal. The SM3ZE became the country's best-selling EV for several years, especially popular with taxi fleets, thanks to its low running costs. Number 5. Vespa 400. After World War II, Europe was broke, bombed out, and in desperate need of cheap transportation. Factories that had once manufactured military gear were suddenly sitting idle. In Italy, one such company, Piaggio, looked at its leftover aircraft parts and thought, why not stick two wheels on them? The result was the Vespa scooter, a buzzing little icon named after the Italian word for wasp. But in the late 50s, Piaggio figured, why not try cars too? The result was the Vespa 400, built in France under license. It was small even by microcar standards, measuring just 2.8 meters in length, and powered by a rear-mounted 393 cubic centimeter two-stroke, two-cylinder engine. And with around 14 horsepower on tap, the 400 wasn't built for speed. It was built for post-war Europe's need for cheap, practical, and economical transportation. The 400 had its charm, quirky styling, city-friendly size, and the undeniable Vespa personality, but it was up against some serious competition. The Austin Mini was roomier, the VW Beetle was tougher, and both could actually keep up with traffic. Between 1957 and 1961, Piaggio produced a total of 30,076 Vespa 400 microcars. While most were sold in Europe, around 1,700 units were also exported to the United States. Number 4. Yamaha OX991-11. In the early 90s, Yamaha realized building world-class motorcycles wasn't enough. They wanted to build a car, but not just any car. They wanted a street-legal machine with an actual Formula One engine inside. But this wasn't shocking news for everyone, since Yamaha was no stranger to building engines for cars. They had helped Toyota develop the iconic 2000 GT, assisted Ford with the Taurus SHO, and built the glorious V10 in the Lexus LFA, an engine often called the roar of an angel. Inspired by the boldness of the McLaren F1, Yamaha set out to create a rival worthy of attention. They used the same 3.5-liter V12 they were supplying to the Zakspeed Formula One team, an engine capable of screaming past 10,000 RPM. But that's not the insane part. The strangely named Yamaha OX 9911 looked like something Batman would daily drive if Bruce Wayne was really into Japanese engineering. It had scissor doors, a teardrop canopy, and seating for two, with the twist. The passenger sat directly behind the driver, fighter jet style. Inside, there was no leather, no wood trim, no infotainment screen, just exposed carbon, a steering wheel, and pedals. Everything was about saving weight and going fast. Yamaha planned on building 20 to 30 cars a year with a retail price of $800,000, which was the same as the McLaren F1 at the time. However, Japan's economy collapsed, and it became clear during the recession. Only 3 prototypes were built, with 400 horsepower, a 0 to 60 time of about 3.2 seconds, and a top speed near 217 miles per hour. It had the numbers to compete. Instead, it became one of the most fascinating what-if stories in automotive history. Before we reveal the final 3, don't forget to hit that like button and comment below which non-car company-made vehicle has been your favorite so far. Number 3. KTM Expo. KTM could have just kept making motorcycles. Safe, predictable, profitable. But no, they woke up one morning and said, let's build something so strange people won't even know how to describe it. So in 2008, KTM partnered with Italian race engineering firm Dallara to create their first ever four-wheeled vehicle. They called it the X-Bow, pronounced crossbow, an open-top mid-engine track weapon. But calling the X-Bow a car feels almost unfair to other cars. It's more like a carbon fiber go-kart for adults, certified road legal only in certain countries. In the US, it couldn't pass DOT requirements. No ABS, no airbags. So when it finally arrived in 2017, it was sold strictly as a track-only car. Power comes from a 2.0-liter turbocharged Audi 4-cylinder, pumping out 296 horsepower. Doesn't sound insane until you realize the X-Bow weighs just 1,741 pounds. That gives it a ridiculous power-to-weight ratio, enough to fling you from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 3.4 seconds. Number 2. Sony Vision S. From the Walkman to the PlayStation, the name Sony likely needs no introduction. But now, Sony wants to earn that same level of respect in the world of cars. Therefore, in 2020, Sony's CEO Kenichiro Yoshida arrived at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas to unveil the Vision S, an all-electric concept sedan. It had dual motors making around 536 horsepower, went from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just over 4 seconds, and topped out at about 149 miles per hour. Inside, it was pure Sony. Massive dashboard screens, 360-degree audio, and so many cameras and sensors that Sony called the invisible safety net, the safety cocoon. 2 years later came the Vision S02, an SUV version with the same power setup, 3 rows of seats, and even the ability to play PlayStation games on the go. It was a clear shot at rivals like the Tesla Model Y. But here's the challenge. Designing an impressive prototype is one thing. Building and selling it at scale is another. With EV titans like Tesla, Mercedes, and BMW already fighting for market share, Sony's real test isn't proving they can make a car. It's proving they can survive in the race. Number 1. Xiaomi SU7. It's not easy to impress the CEO of Ford, but somehow a Chinese smartphone company pulled it off. Jim Farley, Ford's boss, got behind the wheel of a Xiaomi SU7, drove it for 6 months, and straight up admitted he didn't want to give it back. That's coming from a man who runs one of the oldest and most iconic car companies in the world, which says a lot about just how good this car really is. It shocked everyone because big tech and the automotive world don't always make the best match. Samsung tried making a car and failed. Sony unveiled their Vision S 5 years ago, and they're still not mass producing it. Apple, they just killed their secretive Project Titan after 10 years of development and billions of dollars spent. But Xiaomi is the underdog that didn't just talk about building a car, they actually built one. In March 2021, Xiaomi founder Lei Jun announced the company would invest $10 billion into EVs over the next decade. Less than 3 years later, the SU7 rolled out. And it's no gimmick, it's a legitimate high-performance luxury EV. The base SU7 makes about 295 to 299 horsepower and can go over 435 miles on China's CLTC range test. The SU7 Max turns it up to 664 horsepower with all-wheel drive and still gets a solid 497 miles of range. Then there's the SU7 Ultra, a 1,527 horsepower monster capable of taking on hypercars with active aero, air suspension, and track performance that has stunned the world. Shockingly, the Xiaomi SU7 Ultra broke the Nürburgring lap record for production electric vehicles. It achieved a time of 7 minutes and 4 seconds, surpassing the previous record held by the Porsche Taycan and the Rimac Nevera. And like their phones, Xiaomi's pricing is so affordable that the base model, offering 400 miles of range, costs just $30,000, making the SU7 not only desirable but also accessible. Unsurprisingly, the entire 2024 production run sold out in just 1 day. We hope you enjoyed this video. Here's another one you'll love. As always, thanks for watching.